World of Warcraft. A game so massive that it has been forever ingrained in popular culture. WoW has millions of different players. There are casuals, role players, gold farmers, raiders, and everything in between. Each of those players has their own journey, their own story written on the pages of this digital world. This is the story of one guild, a motley crew of players from all different walks of life who found each other by chance in the middle of a global pandemic, faced the most difficult challenges that this game could throw at them, forged bonds of friendship that go well beyond the pixels on the screen, and somehow, beyond anyone's expectations, came out the other side.
And I heard Classic was back out, and someone I played with on PUBG wanted to play too, so we joined a Classic server, and he was like, yo, join this one, Heartseeker. I was like, why not? And he was the only person I knew in the whole world. Me and him leveled up, to 20, 30 or something like that, and he's like, hey, join this guild. They seem pretty cool. It's called Sanctuary. The thing of it is the guy I joined with, he played until like level 33 or something like that, and then just completely stopped playing. We joined this guild, and then he just leaves, and then I'm in this guild. Everybody was super helpful. I just liked, helping everybody else. The general vibe was helpful and informative instead of sweaty and try hard and like elitist, like a everybody's welcome kind of zone. And I thought that was cool.
The guildmaster at the time, Hamathias, was trying to build a raid team, but it didn't work out, and he passes the GM role to Tiger Daddy, who in turn makes Tankenstein an officer, since he's helpful and active at the time. But the stresses of real life take over, and Tank ends up taking care of most of the GM responsibilities.
Yeah, he wasn't up to it, and I was the one helping the most at the time, so he's just like, if I was going to give it to anybody, it'd be you. So if you want it, it's yours. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll try. So this all happened within a month, like maybe 2 months tops from when I started playing Classic. My friend left. I'm in this random guild, and then I'm now the GM of this random guild. I mean, after Tiger Daddy left, it was like everybody was like, "Oh, we're falling apart." Like anybody raid ready was just like, "Well, later, I guess," And they went on to greener pastures to raid with other people on the server. So we're just left with this shell of a guild. I just wanted to raid. I never went into ZG. I never did any of those. I wanted to experience that part of the game. So I was just like anybody and everybody. That's how I found like 40-50% of the guild was just going into low level spots and like seeing people leveling without a guild tag and being like, hey, what's up? You need help? And then after helping them being like, hey, join my guild. It's tight. That's where Trig and Father, they were like level 8 in Westfall, and I was just over there bored, like running people through dead mines for the hell of it.
I made a priest first, and Tank was in Westfall, and like just randomly was running by. I guess he was about to run somebody through dead mines. And when you're just starting back, you're like, I don't have anything. Look, there's a level 60. Help me out.
What I found out later when we actually started raiding was Tankenstein was nowhere near as geared as I thought he was when I first saw him. He just invited us. He ran us through dead mines and invited us all three to the guild.
But then I made a mage that ended up in a different guild. But the guild was just inactive. Like no one talked. No one was ever doing anything. So eventually I ended up switching all my characters to Sanctuary because Tank was always on, Ictus was always on, Grand was always on, people were active. And so like they weren't raiding or anything, but people were doing stuff.
As we got higher levels, like that's when I really began to talk to Trig and Tank and all them. We had all these people and we were pretty close. Like there'd be times that we'd sit till like 3 o'clock in the morning in Discord just teaching Gray Fox how to death boil or raiding Orgrimmar. Kind of glad we have that kind of family atmosphere.
We were kind of just fucking around. It was really social. Like Tank and the dude before him, Tiger Daddy, would organize like giveaways like every other week or every month. We had more like first time players or players who didn't do everything the first time around. And so like we're all just having a really genuine Warcraft experience as opposed to guilds that are like, they were sweaty the first time around and now they're just sweatier. They're just going to do it faster and better. Like a lot of us were like, oh, there's raids? I had no idea. How do we get to those?
With all the recruiting efforts, there were finally enough Sanctuary members that were at least interested in raiding. So they started posting for pugs, filling a 20-man raid team, and attempting Zul'Gurub.
So Chick Gnome, we would have never raided if it weren't for Chick Gnome. Chick Gnome was like really, really insistent on trying to raid. And I was basically like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do loot for you and I'll help recruit. And then Tank was like, I'll tank.
We just kind of led by committee for a lot of them until Chick Gnome, classic Chick Gnome, he was the first raid lead. He had some ambition in the beginning, so I was like, hey man, be raid lead, you know, like what's going on and what to tell people to do and stuff. And I'm just like, I'll tank whatever you say, just tell me where to go.
When we decided to raid, it wasn't like we were like, yo, let's raid, we're gonna have a great plan and we're gonna do this and do this. We were just like, hey guys, I saw that ZG came out. It only needs 20 people, we might be able to do that. We were wrong, but
At the beginning, ZG was tough because it was literally maybe 10, 15 guild members. Like, we would clear most of ZG and have to do a second day just for a car.
The vibe was when we first started raiding, we were very anti-hardcore because we were such a new guild and everybody that's already there had just 3 phases in. They're like, yo, what the fuck? Y'all can't clear ZG? This shit's taking 3 hours?
Those are some rough 20-mans right there. We barely know strategies that are already ironed out throughout the whole server. And so we just like patchwork them together as we run them with pugs who are also equally mad at us because we're going so slow. We're just happy to be there running 3-hour plus ZGs, and everybody's like, yo, you should told us this was gonna be 2+ hours. Like, we don't have time for this. We just wanted a quick pug. And we're like, yo, sorry, we're just trying to play this game.
we didn't know what BIS lists were. We didn't know what Previs was. We didn't have add-ons. We didn't know world buffs existed. We were just organizing a ZG and then going in and doing it.
But the pugs weren't the only people that were frustrated by the slow progress through comparatively easy content.
Constantly, when people are leaving, like, you finally get to 15 people and then you have some like light, like, we almost have a full team. It's like you'd lose 2 and then it's just a big shot in the nuts. I mean, a lot of the early people and myself, we're just very persistent. We wanted to see it through. You almost couldn't keep us down. Didn't matter how many people were like making fun of us or calling us whatever names and just, your guild sucks, like all that stuff. It's like, whatever, we're having fun, because the whole time we're just laughing and having fun while wiping, like, constantly. It was just, the people were fun, and that's what it was all about for me.
Even though sometimes a rage for scuffed, it's probably the most fun I had in the game. That's probably what kept me going, to be honest with you.
Through all of the struggles, the core members were still having fun, and the right people were sticking around. And then, suddenly, the core of the raid team leaves the guild.
So Chick Gnome, like, blowing up and being like, I've had enough of this, I'm done, and want to go to like a guild that was already formed and like clearing everything, and Trig stepping up to like full-time raid lead was one of the biggest things. If that never had happened, then nothing would have happened.
Dude, it was 100% necessity. I never sought it out. Tank was very positive and like supportive in trying to get me to do it, and it basically forced me to do it. It's kind of a lot. Like, it's a video game, but when you start leading, especially in Classic, when it's 40 people, you spend 3-4 hours a day just doing raid shit, like looking up plans, making some spreadsheets, looking at other people's logs, trying to figure out how they killed it. You know, especially when you're in a guild with people that this might be their first experience with Classic. So it's kind of like your responsibility. Like, you want to provide these people like a good experience to play the game. You want them to kill stuff without having to be super sweaty and super stressed and min-maxy all the time, right? But somebody's got to be min-maxy so that you can get it done.
Trig doesn't like to lose or not be doing as well as he thinks people could be doing. So he was always pushing people to do better or researching, or like, the dude reads logs for fun.
I knew we'd eventually get it down, but like it was real dark back in those days. Like, we were barely filling our BWLs consistently. Some raids were swell, and then next week we come in there and we It seemed like we backtracked just because like a couple of people missed the raid.
They were recruiting. I mean, putting together. Trig put it together so many spreadsheets. He would get on and recruit. I mean, us trying to raid was so wild in the beginning. Like we had to pay tanks for Blackwing Lair.
When we linked up with Alto, we didn't have 30 BWL geared raiders. We had like 15 BWL geared raiders and like 10 guys that had a little 20-man gear that would like to come. I'm not sure we would have ended up doing those raids if we hadn't merged with them, because I'm not sure I ever would have been comfortable leading it, right? I got to see their spreadsheets. I got to see how they use summoning alts. I got to see how they drop world buffs. They're talking to me about world buffs, right? And so it was kind of like I got an internship on like raid leading.
It used to be so funny. Like Trig used to say all the time, he was like, people act like they want to do this, but they've got no idea what it takes to keep a guild together. Like most people don't know what it's like to be like a raid leader.
In BWL, we're at 20, 25 people having to pug the rest. You know, eventually MC BWL, we're getting to almost 30 people. We get to AQ40 and we're at around, 35-ish, and we're pugging that last 5, so we're almost a full guild team at that point. We wanted to get to 40 people so bad so we could become loot council, because people would come in as pugs, win the gear, because everybody that pugs with Sanctuary gets like plus 50 rolls and always outrolls us. So pugs were always taking gear and leaving, and we'd go back to the same raid with the same gear and like no progress. You're like spinning your wheels.
While Sanctuary continued on 2 steps forward and 1 step back through the 40-man content, the final monolithic challenge of WoW Classic was released, looming on the horizon.
When Nax was first released, we were nowhere near being able to kill it. We did not have the gear. We did not have enough consistent players. And on top of that, of those consistent players, we didn't have enough that had been raiding long enough to be good enough to do it.
Yeah, we knew Nax was always like the guild breaker. We kept hearing that, like, this is what destroys guilds. It's what breaks everybody apart because it's so hard. And like, we definitely were going to go in and take a shot at it, but whether or not we were going to clear the whole thing was definitely up for question.
When it dropped, we were scared to go in because we didn't want to waste a lot of time not killing stuff, because it would cause us to lose people who had, I don't want to say other options, but like had just joined and they weren't here for the camaraderie. The only reason we actually went into Nax is because we found that partnership. We kind of got lucky. A lot of it was work that officers put in. Like Grandict put a ton of work into recruiting.
Me and Alazar went to a Among Shadows raid, and their leader wasn't as knowledgeable about the raid as Trig was, and I got a hold of him and I was like, hey, do you mind if we kind of do a merge run?
It basically bought us time. It bought us 3 weeks to gear and recruit, right? So that whole time, Grand's recruiting.
At this time, it was whenever we realized we need more melee, and I was sitting in stockades, and I was doing my little recruitment macro.
Among Shadows kind of fell apart. There's some internal bickering, whatever, back and forth. RIC looking for group, like Sanctuary is looking for dwarf priests. So I messaged this kid. It was a guy named Faceplant, a level 20 warrior in Stockades. I messaged him. I was like, hey, my brother and I are thinking about joining a new guild. I didn't even know what questions to ask at the time. I was just like, yo, do you need me or whatever? So he's like, what's your healing power? And I was like, it's like 600, 700. I remember it, verbatim. He's like, dude, get in here.
So then once all those guilds start quitting because they can't actually kill the content, our recruiting actually got easier. Grand just started picking people up like one after the one. 2 weeks later, we had a full 40. Now it was a thin 40. If somebody missed, we went with 39 or 38. But we actually got to a point where we were filling with just Sanctuary people. And that was really cool because we weren't sure we would ever get there. It never killed us because of how we were built, in my opinion. Like, we were very player experience focused and not necessarily like content focused. Like, we were really about having fun. People were making memes during the raids. A lot of guilds do push to talk. I don't believe in push to talk while we play unless you want to do it, because I want everybody to be able to talk. When I raided, I wanted you guys to feel like you could goof off and stuff, and then I'd rein it back in if I had to.
Now, not only was Sanctuary beginning to progress into Naxxramas, but we were doing it with a roster that was all our own. The only thing left were the bosses.
So we would take our excitement from just clearing BWL, like that would get us so pumped. We would take that into Nax and use that energy to try to clear as much as we could. Like, it's all just repetition. Once you keep at it and keep seeing it, and if the strategy is well thought out and you can convey it to a bunch of people, then it's a recipe, rinse and repeat every week. It was all just a ticking clock. Do we have enough time to gear up and get through this?
So I would spend every night running around Felwood just farming consumes to help try to give out to people. And I think the biggest grinds was coordinating world buffs, making sure everybody could get Sunflower, making sure everybody could get DMT.
But yeah, Nax was a wake-up call for how much prep you had to do to be successful in the raid. It was not something I was prepared for. The biggest farm that I did, not just for myself but for the guild, was the Shadow Pot farm. So I remember I would sit and literally for like 3 hours at a time be running lockouts in Scarlet Monastery. Thank God it wasn't just me. There were tons of people. I know Trig was doing it. I know Miri, who he wasn't even raiding at the time, but he happened to be doing the farm too and was like, hey, I can help out. Zen, same thing. Just a lot of people were just committed to the grind of getting all the mats we needed, because the fact of the matter is, especially a guild like Sanctuary, like, we're relatively normal people. Not everyone has the time to sit down and grind out a million mats, a million things.
With the entire guild banding together, grinding out mats and gear, every member was able to slowly make progress through Nax, one boss at a time.
We had a lot of kills everywhere except KT and Saf and Four Horsemen. And the reason is because we limited ourselves to time. Like, when it came out, man, Invoke did a 15-hour or I'm pretty sure it was like 14, 15-hour Nax, like straight through. We were doing 1 3-hour day and then a second 3-hour day. What really hurt us is we were so behind. We were doing both those days plus a AQ40 day plus a BWL MC day. Like, no other guild was doing that. Every other guild was doing 3 or 4 days of Nax.
I felt good about it until the announcement of TBC. As soon as they announced TBC was coming out, I started like, man, I don't know if we have enough time to get there. And then this point, we're in loot council heavy. So like, all the officers and myself are just stressing about all these choices we're making of who to give gear. We cannot clear this stuff if we don't put the gear in the exact right place. Like, we have no extra time. Our whole goal was to just beat Naxxramas, just clear it once before TBC dropped.
But one night we go in, the trash is cleaner than usual. Everybody's kind of like in a good mood, but everybody's tight. They're feeling kind of the pressure of trying to make sure we execute, we stand in the right spots. We get to patchwork.
If you are not a pally, you need to be using a heal that heals for 2k that you can use for 2 minutes straight.
Bob, if you need.
Yeah, as long as Lil Bash is taking
10 seconds to stun shield.
Damn, we're a pro guild? Are we pro?
Good
I think we are, man.
I think we're pro. Yeah.
Good job, healers.
Hey, the shield dropped.
We make our way into Grob's room. We're like, okay, this is our next hurdle, because we all remembered. We were like, okay, 3 weeks ago, we ran in here and we wiped it right away.
Focus up, guys.
Yeah, just keep your ears open.
All right, melee, make sure you're behind the boss at all times. If you get in front of them, it'll suck for us. I mean, honestly, fucking solid job with mechanics there.
Well, we go in, we one-shot Grobulus, we one-shot Gluth right after it, and then we one-shot Thaddeus, and like before we even knew it, we had gotten to 9 of 15, and we're like, we were at 4 of 15 for like a month. Once we did that, it was like confirmation. I was like, okay, we can do it, we just gotta commit.
We were always planning and maneuvering, and it's not noticeable. The pressure of the last couple weeks wasn't new to us.
And then in the military quarter came Four Horsemen.
Getting 40 people to do a coordinated dance was just so difficult, man. We couldn't even get to Four Horsemen for a long time, right? So we didn't have any tries on it. Then when we did get to Four Horsemen, it was already like midnight, right? So everybody's like, all right, bro, I got one attempt in me, and then we got to get the fuck off. So we didn't really get good Horseman attempts until we could get consistently 12 out of 12.
Four Horsemen was the brick that stopped us. We had multiple attempts on Four Horsemen. Like I think it took us 15 to 20 attempts to try to get them down. Like we struggled so much that we had to make spreadsheets. We had Padre doing call outs for groups to move. We were trying so many different cheese strats just for us to try to get it down.
They announced TBC. We have 3 weeks left to do it, and we're stuck on Horsemen. Like for 3 weeks, we were stuck on Horsemen. We did our 2 nights, got as far as we could, and it was just a lot of practice.
It became really scary that we were putting all this time in clearing Nax and we weren't going to get there in time. There was a point in there where I was like, man, we might just end 12 of 15, call it a day. It was scary. I was legitimately like afraid that that was going to happen to us, considering kind of where we were in progression, how consistently we were able to kill things like 4 Horsemen.
4 Horsemen was so crazy. We were always so close. What it came down to is Padre and he was starting to send me like some notes and some spreadsheets. He was like, yo man, what if we did this? So we started having to play like whack-a-mole with healers and like move them all around and switch what boss they were on. And we just kept doing it until finally people stopped dying.
Let's do it.
Get it?
I'm at
Group
C.
C,
Move.
Need relief on Mogran.
I'm coming.
4
Squid.
marks on Zeliek.
I'm coming.
Got it.
Group B, rotate.
Coming in danger.
No ranged on square, right?
Need relief on Blomo.
Ranged, ranged can go to square, yes.
Let's fucking go.
Let's go.
Let's
Let's go.
Too easy.
Don't even need to pop up.
Once we got 4 Horsemen down, I was like, I think we've got a chance.
It's like 2 weeks to go, and we have to kill the thing, and we kill Horsemen, and then it's the week before. It's like the auction house is closing. This is it. You're not going to be able to get your consumes. It's like we're getting ready for pre-patch of TBC, so this is the week.
We were going in knowing this was our last chance to kill KT next week. Pre-patch is dropping. And then at about 3:30 mid-afternoon on a Monday, I was selling summons to Yojamba Isle, and my account just gets logged off. And then I get this banner. It says, Padre Joe has been banned for 3 days. I got banned for the illicit acquiring of gold. Allegedly. And then it popped in my head. I was like, wait, Trig had a brother that played the game, had a level 60 priest. Long story short, I get Jack Twist, take that priest. We get super lucky in our 1 Onyxia lockout. I get the T2 helm. When that dropped on that Monday night, I kind of knew. Like I'm not super whatever, not super spiritual, but it felt like a confluence of good things, which hadn't happened for us in the previous week.
The first night we're good at everything in the beginning now because we've ran it a million times. We just haven't seen KT at all. So we get up to Horsemen and we one-shot it.
I'm coming in now.
5K.
Execute.
Group B,
You'll have to bubble one of these.
That is that.
1K.
Good job, yeah.
Oh my God.
Hell
Yes.
yeah.
Let's go, ladies and gentlemen.
Good lord.
Get fucked.
Fuck's sake, man. Oh my God.
And we unlock Saf, and we can go mess with Saf. And we wipe on that, a bunch of times that week.
We had attempts that went well, but we had weird comps. Our biggest issue the first times we tried SAF is people didn't have the resist gear. Because our comps were made for SAF. We were carrying like 4 or 5 Druid healers all of Classic, which is insane. No other guild would have done that. I never at any point thought there's no way we're killing SAF.
There's nothing near me. Everybody on the left side's dead.
Everybody rather died at their blocks.
Well, we go in, we do a bunch of these dry runs. We're trying to figure it out, and we're getting there kinda, but nothing's really it didn't feel like we were getting it. But then Trig made the call, and I think in sort of a rallying way, the entire raid kind of figured it out. We go in, we pop world buffs, we fully consume.
The pressure was on. I think I can attest for everyone whenever I said I was trying to be as good as possible. I was trying to do my rotation while also running to get behind the ice blocks. It was tough. The healers had a lot of pressure. The tanks had a lot of pressure, and the melee had a lot of pressure.
So we're going. People are dying to blizzards. People are dying to frost blasts. We get the last air phase. I think me or somebody called it.
He doesn't go up under what percent? I can't remember.
20.
Come on, get him for 20.
20%.
Good shit.
Let's go.
Keep everybody up. Keep everybody up.
Anybody can give father
Oh,
to
what is
innovate.
Flyers.
Spread out, spread out.
And then he goes back up again, obviously. We all get together, and Thoridaz, one of our warriors, is like, we got it, guys. Focus up.
Come on, guys.
Burn him, burn him.
2%.
Let's go.
That's the blizzards.
Oh my god, guys.
Sanctuary!
Yes, guys.
Let's go, motherfucker. Can I get a battle rest? Can I get a battle rest? Battle rest me now.
Oh my god. Yes. Suck my dick, bitch.
Saffron was the place people got hard stuck. And to our credit, we got stuck there for about a week because we'd only seen it for a week. It wasn't like we got to go there and practice for 3 weeks. You know, we got there and we had to kill it. We did. That may have been the best feeling in all of Classic. It wasn't until we actually saw Saffron go down that I was like, we're actually gonna kill KT.
So we killed Saf, and then it was like the last day, our Thursday raid. It was the day before the auction house closed, but we had the whole day to kill KT. We made sure the strategy was right. I was asking around for any tips and tricks and anything like that. We were farming this magic dust from Westfall that like helps you just slightly, and like any advantage in anything we could get, I was trying to get. You know, Padre was helping Trig with spreadsheets and telling people where to stand and what's going to happen when, and it was just this huge buildup.
On the final day of WoW Classic, this unlikely guild was staring down one final challenge: Kel'Thuzad.
When we first get in there, I think everybody is like, you know, we're riding the high of Saffron. We're like, hell yeah, you know, we killed Saf, we got this. Well, we go in and we do like 5 dry pools, and we do not one time get KT down to 30%, which at 30% is his 3rd phase, which meant there was an entire phase of the fight we just didn't know anything about. But again, just like Saffron, you know, Trig stepped back and he made the call.
I remember thinking that we were gonna be fine there. Like, I remember just being like, all right, guys, how do y'all feel? Are we buffing here?
Let's repair. Let's get a buffed full lane. And we're going to kill it. We won't worry about anything else after this.
And so in the same fashion that we killed Saf, we just blew our buffs.
Something magical happens when we pop our world buffs. It wasn't the cleanest fight at all. It was like it got right down to the wire where there was just a few people left alive.
I lagged for like a second and I died to the void pool. And I was like, oh no, it's over. And like there was only a few people left up.
Keep going, keep going.
No.
Get him. You're up.
Group 2 go next for the kick.
Execute,
You have a Hellstone, use it.
Interrupt.
Execute, let's go.
Whatever damage you have.
Let's go, guys.
Execute.
Do it.
All done.
No! Come on, let's go!
Oh,
Keep
shit.
nature up. Keep nature up.
Keep him up.
And as is the Sanctuary way, our first ever attempt at KT with world buffs, we down the boss.
Man, when we killed that fucking thing, I was just so overcome with like accomplishment and joy and just satisfaction of look what all these fucking just nobody random people like pulled together and did in this super short amount of time. I just sat at my computer for a good 5 minutes, just staring into space, just reveling.
It was just straight up relief for me. It felt like triumphant. We may have had like a small persecution complex, but we really felt like it was us against everybody. And it couldn't have been that way, because at the end people were like supportive, like, yeah, we're glad you did it.
For Sanctuary.
Do you guys have any Elementum more? Smooth? Smooth. Do you have any Elementum more or whatever I need for Regalia?
Before then, it felt condescending. Like, you might do it. So it felt good to prove people wrong and have it be us who did it. Like, we weren't partnered with anybody. It was our raid. We might have had like one pug in there filled, and that's it.
I think the best part of it was that me and Tank and Trig and everybody that contributed to prep and raid, getting the summons out, getting everybody to Nax, making sure everybody had consumes, and we were able to successfully deliver them a KT kill. I mean, there were some first timers that's never played Classic before on that kill. So I mean, that was a good feeling. And then there were some people that came back for the nostalgia of it that didn't get to do it the first time. So I was kind of glad that people got to experience that. Like myself, I killed KT before Sanctuary, before our first time in Sanctuary. So I mean, it was a good feeling.
Honestly, it felt kind of good, man. I don't know if I would do it differently, honestly. I don't know if I'd wanted to start Classic when it first started, because like all of the things that we experienced, we wouldn't have experienced if we didn't start so late. I was never bored with Classic. I think it was a really good way to end it, man. Like, it was just the perfect way.
In a past life, I was an athlete, and it's funny how much it parallels playing a sport, but it's like you'd done all this prep. You know, everybody had to come together. There had to be this, excess amount of teamwork, everybody buying into whatever, Trig was telling us to do. There had to be all these things. And at the end of the day, we came out the victors, and it felt so much like winning our conference tournaments back in college. It just felt like we beat the beast, This time it wasn't Haverford baseball, it was Kelthaside, which is kind of a funny thing to say.
It cemented all of our friendships and all of our hard work that, I helped you, you helped me, we helped each other, and we did it together, and we talked shit and joked around the whole time while we did it. Classic was its own little special thing. During a pandemic as well, a guild during a pandemic doing Classic WoW is a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
I just played the game how it was probably played 15 years ago. And I know that sounds like, well, you kind of suck, dude. Why are you still playing a soft game how it was played 15 years ago? But it also is part of why the game was great 15 years ago. People didn't know everything about it, and they got to make those discoveries along the way. Like, I really don't think it gets better than what we did as a group, because we didn't know anything. We started 5-6 months late. Like, we started when ZG came out. So we started the second to last phase of the game is when we started playing. We built a raid team from nothing. We probably had 6 people when we started out. It was built so organically, I don't think I would trade it for any other experience. So I'm really proud of what we did in Classic.
The whole process of getting KT down was such a unifying experience for everybody that was a part of it. From the people that helped farm mats, right? Not even the people that were there, but literally like the buy-in we got from 60 people filling in for things like BWL, getting shadow pots, helping craft different types of gear, created kind of a bond. Like, for me, it's like I just wouldn't play this video game if it wasn't with Sanctuary. Like, I may love the video game, but really this game is Sanctuary 1, World of Warcraft 2.
And just like that, WoW Classic faded into the rearview mirror, and the Burning Crusade was kicking off at full steam. And this time, Sanctuary was ready.
For a lot of people, you can't have fun while constantly failing. And so it's kind of our responsibility to make sure that we succeed while we're doing that. And improvement is fun to us. So our goal is to be a little better than we were last phase.
I think at the time when we killed KT, kind of all looked at each other and we're like, all right, we did it, but we're not doing that again. That was a grind. We're going to be on time. Phase comes out. Maybe we're not the first guild to clear it. Maybe we're not the 100th guild to clear it, but we're going to be there. We're going to fight and we're going to clear it. Right? That's the Sanctuary way. We finish the job. We get the job done. Maybe not in the prettiest way. Maybe not in the meta or the sweaty way, but we're going to get it done.
Like, once we killed KT, we were like, we can do anything. And we're proving that now in TBC. I mean, we're current. There's a lot of guilds that hasn't killed Bash KT, and we're about to break through on that as well.
Wherever there are changes, they are always followed by growing pains, and the shift to TBC was no exception. With some people needing a break and others an entirely different playing experience, Sanctuary's raid team was full of holes that needed to be filled.
We were kind of standard. Like, we had some people that wasn't originally with us in Classic. They come into TBC wanting to lead, and they ended up leaving, and it kind of broke some morale down. But Padre and myself, we were able to kind of pick up what was left and like kind of start getting us in the Caribbean, and we started clearing Gruul. We got Mag down before it was nerfed.
And I reached out to Grand and Tank and was like, hey, I think just a raid coordinator, right? And that's what I messaged both of them. I was like, I don't want to do the raid leading. I don't want to do any of that stuff. But like just somebody to help with schedules, like try and find places for people to do their Karas. I was helping out Grand with some of the raid leading for a little bit, and then I think Grand had to miss a week or something, and I had to do kind of like solo raid leading for the first time, and it was terrifying. I didn't really talk all that much during the next like progression. And then I told Grand and I told Tank and whoever, and I was like, I'm really enjoying this. Like the raid leading it's exhausting. It's by far the hardest thing I've ever done in this game, but at the same point, it kind of scratches all those itches that I had of like needing to dive into logs, needing to coordinate.
I'm a little more like, I'm definitely not hands off, but I do defer to Padre now just because of the amount of time that he's put in to like help us succeed in Classic. But he's a lot like he's the same way in a lot of ways that I was in Classic. Like I don't know that we could have found another Padre to take my spot if I wasn't playing. And I was going through a lot when TBC came out.
It is a lot. The main thing I think we do is manage personalities. There's just so many different kinds of people from different walks of life, from students to retired people to foreign people to, people that work night shift, people that have kids, don't have kids, all these things that you have to kind of schedule and steer towards an ultimate goal.
But people weren't the only changes with TBC. Heartseeker was losing its critical mass of active players to other, more populated servers, and preparing for raid continued to get more and more difficult. Reluctantly, the core raid team was forced to make the decision to leave Heartseeker.
I think the reason we were able to withstand the change, like from transferring from Heartseeker to Benediction, is once again just the family feeling of the guild. Like even though we had already kind of decided, well, we're going to transfer, that we reached out to everyone and had their thoughts on it. So I think that also helped out.
Here's what keeps guilds together, man. Core members. So like if Trig or Tank or Padre or Grandict were to ever leave the game, I think we'd stick around, but I don't think it would be the same. I don't know if there's another guild that still has all the same officers that they used to have, and we have some new ones, but like the main people, they're still here, and that's what allows guilds to just keep going.
Any barrier of entry, if you will, to raiding will cost you raiders. Anybody with an ounce of foresight can tell you that you move to the big city with your girlfriend and there's a bunch of good-looking guys around. You better impress her or she's going to leave you. And that was kind of the feeling I had as as an officer at the time, is like, if we don't do something now, I trust the crap out of all the people in our guild, but they're going to start looking, right? If you look around and you see every guild on Benediction's 8 of 10 and we're still struggling at 5 and 10, it's going to be a tough sell to keep people. It's any challenge you put in front of us, I think we're going to take on, and we're going to down. The core of this guild can do just about anything. The 25, 30, 45, however many people it is, that make the Sanctuary ranks what they are. They can clear anything in this game.
Through everything that has happened in the game, for each of us, Sanctuary has had some impact on our actual lives, connecting people that would have otherwise never met and turning us into a family.
We've had a little of everything in here, to people pretending they're ladies when they're not ladies, to get items from us or something like that. Everything that happens brought the officers and the core group of people closer together, which is why I loved it. It's like the drama almost fueled the togetherness, if that makes sense. We're just dedicated to this imaginary like grouping of people on a video game, and I love it. Just a lot of the same friends that, Father saying booty hole hasn't changed.
Some of the best memories are like after we've raided BWL and we're all fucking delirious and we wipe in Molten Core. We're almost making memes live. Like he's doing memes like right away. I have no idea how this motherfucker's doing it. Like he must have 6 arms because he's playing WoW and he's throwing memes up.
There's some stuff from Pugs joining our BWL and us wiping on Razor Gore like 30 times, and then the Pug and one of our guildmates, who I'm not going to say the name of, like got in a big disagreement over, and it was pretty loud to the Discord to the whole Tavy story. So I mean, we've had a few doozies. The best memory I'm ever going to have. Trig was like fussing at us about something, and then it was right before Nostrum and Naxxramas, and like he just starts randomly jumping down through the gargoyles, activating them, and wipe us.
Everyone has 5 or 6 stacks of acid volley with another 25 seconds until they fall off. What do you, the raid leader, do?
Oh shit!
What the fuck?
That's probably like one of my favorite memories. And then of course there's that time that you caught me slipping into the lava in Molten Core.
Today we have a very special clip from a very special warrior. Unbelievable. Let's bring that up in a replay. Look at this frame perfect edge hit.
All right,
Change. So I can change the one person.
Oh my god, face.
So it's been 10 months. It feels like 5 years worth of memories, worth of struggle. That cocktail of memories is really something that like it's why I'm addicted to this game. The thrill, the excitement, the camaraderie of those moments was just like nothing else. As much as the raiding is fun, what it's really about is it's the post raid, 20 people in Discord hanging out, 15 people in Discord hanging out. That kind of stuff is just irreplaceable. I never in my life imagined I would actually make friends over pixels. A year ago, I would have said all you WoW people are a bunch of weirdos. But man, have I been proven wrong and then some. Wouldn't trade it for the world. It was so much fun.
I would not have done it any other way. I think that I got the best possible classic experience I could have gotten. Every time we killed a boss, it felt like our achievement. Like no one came in and helped us. We recruited this, built this ourselves. It felt special.
I would just add that I am super thankful to be a part of this wonderful thing called Sanctuary and the people involved in it from all over the world, just to have a good time, to have fun in this little escape from reality that we all like to play together. I'm super thankful to be a part of it. I think it was a actual life experience I'll remember for the rest of my life.
I still remember leveling in Darkshore with the heroic priest Squiddo, playing WoW for what was essentially the first time when a serious-looking paladin rolled up and asked if we wanted to join his guild. I had no idea what I was getting into at that point. I was still very convinced that I might not even play to 60, and definitely didn't think I would ever do any raiding or anything all that serious. Getting to experience Classic with something that felt more like a family than a guild changed me from a guy who wasn't even sure if he was going to keep playing to a guy who makes a more than 40-minute documentary talking about his guild's journey through Classic. This video is my way of giving back to all of the people who have put in countless hours to make this guild what it is. To Tank and all the officers, thank you. It's also for all the new people who have joined us through TBC. I hope that this gives you a better idea of why we all play this game and what Sanctuary means to us.
Look at that little midget.
Oh, he's so cute.
Yes.
He's so cute.
So cute. Look at him.
We
fucking did it. We did it. Look at that.
Wait, move back. We can't see. Let's go.
Is there anybody cornier on Heartseeker than Sanctuary?
Not at all.
Probably not.
No way. No.
Billy Jack, did you try to run away from the mobs down there?
I was asleep at one point, and I woke up in the lava.
Oh no.
Oh god. Now I gotta run over here and freaking heal Vinny. Oh god, I jumped too.
What are y'all doing?
You know.
It's so slippery. No!
Bro, what are you doing?
Padre.
I was like, yeah, man, I couldn't see anything. I just had the camera turned in. You know what I'm saying? I was just la 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 la.
Oh, where'd the... So many people just went in. Oh my god.
Stay alive, man.
Yeah, I think the funniest moment that I have in the raid that with Sanctuary was when Trig was asking before a forest man. So okay, so everybody put your tank gear on.
Girl, Dad, did you bring your tank gear?
It's on.
Hey, thanks for showing up.
That was funny to you guys.
Charge.
Run.
I'm falling faster.
This is fucking sweet.
Oh shit.
Are we gonna hit the trees?
Yeah, how does it work?
You're gonna go. You can get lip.
Oh, I was mounted.
And I don't know if you remember Dr. Boom used to do the trivia. So Dr. Boom did a trivia and he was like, did you know the average penis size was such and such, right? Like, I don't know. And then so Puka was like, oh my god, that's so small. And then Granite, this is when we first met each other. Granite goes, oh my god, I just can't even hear this. She's like, man, my husband, like she started going in about who I would later come to know as Pig Slobber, big old wiener. And Granite was mortified, bro.
Dude, Zarlock's here. He's just sitting out of the front gate.
No way.
Oh my god.
He's just sitting out the front gate, facing the entrance.
Oh my god, that's the most anime
This is
shit I've ever
awesome.
seen in my life.
This is the final boss of Karazhan tonight.
He's
Oh
laughing
yeah,
at
you're
defeating a
homies,
healer.
man. You and
And then-
Starlock are homies.
He sacrifices Woodwalker for it.
Yeah. Okay, that fight says no.
Oh baby.
He's done.
Oh,
He's
come
fucking
on.
done.
let's go.
Yes!
Do we all?
Go.
What's the part? RP
You
style.
have to have why not at the front of the line?
Yeah.
He is a bear.
Yeah.
Nice.